And if we try to change a good and it results in a greater evil, it is no longer commanding of good to change that. For as Ibn Taymiyyah has said, it is upon the believer to fear Allah regarding his service, and it is not his duty to guide them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not sent us as judges over humanity in order for us to hold the safe, the sword, and put it down whenever we want. No, this is not from the religion of Islam. This is the religion of the Khawarij. It's not the religion of the Salafi. It's not the religion of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So therefore one must have knowledge and one must have patience. And one must know if he's resulting in more good or evil if he tries to change something, or if he tries to command something. And then comes the question that I'm sure most of you are asking yourselves now. Well, how will I know by commanding something or forbidding something will result in a greater evil or not? If you don't know this answer, then obviously you are not the individual who should be commanding good or forbidding evil, because you do not have the knowledge which is required for that act. We now come to the third principle which they wanted to comment upon. And while this third principle might not have much relevance in this country, being that we are in a non-Muslim country, I will read it because out of the trust of just reading their declaration in its entirety to you. The third principle is the position towards the Muslim ruler. They say, the brothers who wrote this declaration, among the great principles of this religion is to show obedience to the one in charge of the affairs of the Muslims. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, أطيعوا Allah, obey Allah, وأطيعوا الرسول, obey the messenger, وأولي الأمر منكم, and those in authority among you. Then they say, it is required to obey those in charge of us in what constitutes obedience to Allah and His Messenger. For in the hadith it is mentioned, a creature is not to be obeyed when it involves disobedience to the Creator, reported by Ahmed and Al-Hakim. And also regarding this, obedience is to be only given regarding what is ma'ruf, reputable, found in Bukhari and Muslim. So therefore, even though we are commanded to obey those in charge of us, like the rulers, it is only in that which is obedience to Allah and His Messenger. Obedience to them is not like obedience to Allah and His Messenger, absolute. But rather their obedience is conditional, that that which they ask of us entails obedience to Allah and His Messenger. And then they say regarding the rulers, it is required to advise those in charge, command them with the good, forbid them with the evil, with knowledge and wisdom, as the welfare of the creatures, the servants of Allah, and the countries is not achieved except through unity, obedience to those in charge, commanding good and forbidding evil. So therefore, part of this religion is to command good and forbid evil regarding the ruler of the Muslims. Because, as they say, the welfare of Allah's creatures and the countries is not achieved except by unity, adhering to those who are in charge of us, and also commanding good and forbidding evil. And then they mention the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the most excellent jihad is when one speaks a true word in the presence of a tyrannical ruler. And this is reported by Ahmed and Ibn Majah. The most excellent jihad is to speak a true word in the presence of a tyrannical ruler. And then they say it is forbidden to revolt against the Muslim ruler. For in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ commanded his companions not to dispute about government with those in power unless you see evident kufr, evident unbelief, regarding which you shall have a proof from Allah. And in another hadith, when the companions asked the Prophet ﷺ regarding the tyrannical rulers, they asked him, shall we not fight them? The Prophet ﷺ replied, no, as long as they pray. And both of these statements were reported by Muslims. So the point is that the manhaj of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Salafi way regarding the rulers, is that it's a contract. And in the same way as we are required to obey our rulers, we are also required to give them nasiha, to command good and forbid evil regarding them. And at the same time, just as we are required not to revolt against the Muslim ruler unless he has done clear unbelief, we are also required to say the truth in front of him. Because this is the most excellent jihad, and if it results, for instance, in someone's death, or it's just the most excellent jihad, and the person is a martyr, a shaheed, if it results in his death. They then come to the fourth principle, waging jihad in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. What do they say? Waging jihad is an unceasing obligatory duty till the day of resurrection. Jihad is an unceasing obligatory duty till the day of resurrection. It is not to be forsaken in any period due to the lack of a general imam in that age, and in particular during this dire period of Islamic history. Allah Ta'ala has said, and wage jihad for Allah as is his due. And He has said, O Prophet, wage jihad with the unbelievers.